My boyfriend's crush hit me with an in-your-face ultimate move. I pulled out my little notebook and ticked off one of the 100 things to achieve before 30. Date a ridiculously handsome guy. That's it for this relationship. I should move on to the next wish. Chapter 1. At my boyfriend's birthday banquet. His crush, Cressida, hit me with an in-your-face ultimate move. Jessica sis. Why doesn't Domingo have any pictures of you on his moments? Anyone who doesn't know would think he's single. I put on a pitiful smile of unrequited love. Maybe, he just doesn't like me that much. The atmosphere froze. Domingo's friend quickly tried to smooth things over. No way. You're the one he cares about most. He was just asking recently what to get you for your birthday. I blinked. Really? But my birthday was 2 days ago, and he forgot. Domingo's face darkened. Didn't I make it up to you later with a gift? And about moments, I told you before. I have too many random people added. No need for outsiders to know my private life. But I remember in high school, you used to love posting photos with your girlfriend. Domingo said. I was immature back then. I don't do that anymore as an adult. Oh, I see. I thought growing up just meant the feelings wouldn't be as passionate as when we were younger. Their back and forth seemed polite on the surface. But there was an undercurrent of ambiguous tension. Everyone at the table had been keeping something from me all night. At this point, even if I were blind, I could see they had dated before. Imagine bringing your current girlfriend, who loves you deeply, and your ex-girlfriend, who still loves you, to the same birthday dinner. What a move. Cressida glanced at me. Jessica, if he made excuses like that to me, I'd be furious. Why don't you put him in his place? I smiled good-naturedly and showed Cressida my moments. See? Domingo has posted pictures of us together. A lot of people here liked that post. Which means, he must have hidden it from you. You might just be the side chick he's keeping on the down low. Cressida was stunned into silence. Domingo grew angry. Jessica Jean, will you just stop already? I looked inexplicably aggrieved. Don't raise your voice at me. I'm just telling the truth. Chapter 2. I once liked Domingo so much, so obsessively, that it felt almost insane. The first time I saw him, he was bringing his younger cousin to my physics tutoring class. I was stunned by his face. How could a guy my age be that handsome? Over 8 meters tall, thick long eyelashes, every smile and frown carrying a natural charm, and a nose bridge so perfect it could double as a slide. It's not like I haven't met many guys before. In my university class of 50 students, 47 were boys. But even if they wore the same white t-shirt, my classmates looked like rows of potatoes compared to this guy. I asked his cousin, "What's your brother's name? Give me his WeChat. Next time, can you have him drop you off again?" His cousin said, "You're the third tutoring teacher who's asked me that." I said, "He takes such good care of you? He's definitely going to make a great dad one day." My cousin was speechless. This relationship began with me pestering him relentlessly, and him half resisting, half accepting. To this day, I still don't understand why he agreed to be with me. It was obvious he didn't like me that much. Maybe he was just bored out of his mind. Maybe he was shocked by my fierce and persistent pursuit. Or maybe he just didn't want to miss out on the physics tutor who finally got his cousin to pass the subject. The day I kissed him, I marveled at how kind the heavens were to me. I had finally become the leading lady of the idol dramas I dreamed about as a child. The day I slept with him, I swore that when I got rich, I'd donate $5 million to children in need. Mom, the world really does love me. Chapter 3. My family and friends all told me this boyfriend wasn't good enough for me. But so what? Ordinary women who want to date a handsome guy always have to pay some sort of price. Some pay with money, some with emotional labor. I didn't have much money to give him, so taking a little emotional hardship felt like my share of the bargain. Otherwise, I'd be worried that my luck was too good now and that some disaster was waiting for me later. He never took pictures with me, nor would he let me post his photos on social media. When my best friend heard I was dating, she wanted to meet my boyfriend. Domingo said he didn't want to. On Valentine's Day, my coworkers were all eager to leave work early. They asked me what plans I had for the evening. No plans. Just going home early to catch up on sleep. What? Don't you have a boyfriend? Did you two fight? I didn't tell them that I had been looking forward to spending Valentine's Day with Domingo for a long time. I had been single all 4 years of university, and every Valentine's Day I'd watch other girls receive flowers and gifts, feeling a bit envious. But when I booked a restaurant, prepared a gift, and asked Domingo if he was free that night, he said he didn't like celebrating holidays and wasn't in the mood. He said girls who cared too much about special occasions were exhausting, and told me not to bother with that anymore. In our city, summer often brings heavy rain. My mom always kept an eye on our weather forecast and timed her calls to ask if my boyfriend was picking me up after work. If he doesn't, I can just take a taxi home. Doesn't he have a car? After a few such conversations, my mom advised me, "This guy isn't good for you. He doesn't care about you. He's not someone you can rely on." I reassured her, "I'm not looking to rely on him. I'm not going to marry him. Don't worry. Once I save enough money, I'll go abroad." If my boyfriend treated me too well, I'd feel guilty. Since Domingo doesn't like me that much, it'll be easier to break up. My best friend often said to me, "Jessica, I've never seen you so humble before. What kind of good-looking guy is worth this?" Domingo is good-looking enough to be worth it. And not just good-looking, he's skilled, too. They say a night of passion is worth 1,000 gold pieces. I didn't have to pay 1,000 gold pieces to have a night that shook my soul. You could say it was a bargain. After a few tutoring sessions, Domingo's cousin warned me, "My brother's first love is named Cressida. She's coming back to the country this September. You'd better watch out for her." I was a little surprised, then laughed. "Thanks. You're really loyal. You wouldn't give me your brother's WeChat before, but now you're even helping me." He gave me a look full of disappointment. "I just think your relationship is too hard. You check your phone 18 times during a single class break and my brother still hasn't replied. You explain physics so clearly. How can you not figure out men?" I propped my chin in my hand, not sure if I was making excuses for myself or for Domingo. "Well, your brother's so handsome. It's normal for him to be busy," his cousin said indignantly. "So what if he's handsome? You're no worse. You graduated from a university. You radiate intelligence. And you can make money, one-on-one tutoring for 1,000 yuan an hour. How much does that add up to in a month? You and my brother are a perfect match, beauty and brains. My parents and I all think you're great together." I couldn't help laughing. Thanks. You're too kind." Chapter 4. As my savings for studying abroad grew, the date of Domingo's Crush's return drew closer. I knew this year-long affair would eventually come to an end. Domingo looked at me coldly. "Jessica, I don't know what's gotten into you lately. I'm not begging you to be in this relationship. If you want to be together, then treat it seriously. If you don't, let's break up." Everyone thought I would back down and apologize. After all, I was always the one coaxing him, but I had already saved enough money. I lowered my head, tears spilling down, my voice choked. "Domingo, I liked you from the very first moment I saw you, but I've always known you didn't like me that much. In your heart, I'll never be more important than your first love. I don't want to keep being in a relationship I can't win. Let's break up." He froze for a moment, then laughed. "Fine, just don't regret it." I picked up my bag, wiped my tears, and left, giving him a messy view of my retreating back. Chapter 5. The air in the private room was heavy. Someone spoke up. "Domingo, why don't you go after her and make up?" "Make up for what? She's the one being unreasonable. Cressida was just joking. Did she really have to be so aggressive?" Someone else chimed in. But Domingo was irritated. But Cressida wasn't wrong. Of course my feelings now aren't as passionate as they were with my first love. Why can't she handle the truth? If Jessica insists on being so sensitive, what can I do? Another friend tried to mediate. "Jessica likes you so much. Seeing your ex unexpectedly would make anyone jealous." Domingo sneered. "She should take a look at herself. Do I like her that much? Does she even have the right to make this kind of scene?" A hint of smugness appeared on Cressida's face. Another friend spoke. "I bet Jessica's regretting it already. I'm sure the moment she stepped out of the restaurant, she started thinking about how to ask for your forgiveness." Domingo, just go after her. Don't let a couple's fight drag overnight. Cressida suddenly cut in. "What's wrong with you guys? I'm the childhood friend here. And I'm sitting right here. Why is no one caring about my feelings? What kind of spell has Jessica put on you? The person next to her said. They're a couple having a fight. Jessica's Domingo's girlfriend. We can't exactly encourage Domingo to dump her and get with you. That'd be low. My girlfriend would kill me if she heard. Exactly. Cressida's expression faltered. Domingo's frustration only grew. At some point, his friends had started taking Jessica's side. This woman had really gone to great lengths to hook him, even winning over his childhood friends so they'd speak for her. Did she really think that meant she had him under control? He didn't like her that much, and she should have known it. Chapter 6. When I got back to Domingo's place, Dian Dian was waiting for me at the door. She was a beautiful little mixed-breed dog, with soft fur, bright eyes, and a bit of a people-pleasing personality. Back when Domingo and I went hiking, the owner of a farmhouse told us their dog had given birth to puppies, and said we could take one if we wanted. I refused immediately. I didn't have a place of my own, and I was planning to study abroad. How could I raise a puppy? But my body betrayed me. I spent the whole day in the yard playing with the puppy, and when morning came and it was time to leave, I was still clinging to her, reluctant to let go. The owner asked, "Are you sure you don't want to take one home?" Domingo said, "We'll take her." My feelings were complicated. I asked him, "Are you sure? Are you ready to be responsible for her whole life?" Domingo smirked. "Why does that sound like you're talking about marriage?" "I mean, I don't have a place in City A. If we break up, I can't keep her. Will you take care of her forever?" He looked at me deeply, didn't answer, and just picked up the puppy and carried her into the car. I fed Dian Dian, then took her out for a walk. While I was packing my suitcase, she kept circling around my feet. I stroked her head reluctantly. "I'm sorry. I have to go. In the end, you're your dad's child. Your dad and I were just a fleeting thing. You and I, we're not exactly family." She wagged her tail as if she half understood, circling me a few times. Then she trotted off to the living room and brought back a ball, asking me to play. I didn't have much to pack. Everything fit in one suitcase. When I was done, I played with her until she got tired, used up all the film left in my instant camera taking pictures of her, and ruffled her head. "Dian Dian, I'm leaving now. You have to stay a happy, healthy little dog, okay?" Chapter 7. I checked into a hotel, ordered an iced milk tea, and opened an old diary. On the first page was what I had written on my 20th birthday. 100 things to achieve before 30. 1. Participate in a research project related to controlled nuclear fusion. 2. Pursue a PhD at MIT. 3. Buy my parents a big house in my hometown. 4. Learn to surf. 5. Travel around the world. 6. Date a super handsome guy. 7. Think of more later crossed out 7. Save up 1.5 million crossed out 7. Save up 2 million. I'd arranged these wishes in order of difficulty. The first one was achieved quickly. In my junior year, I ranked in the top 2 of my department and earned a scholarship to join a summer research project in plasma physics in Switzerland. I even got a recommendation letter from a world-renowned professor. That year, I was full of ambition, feeling like everything was under control. I thought the second wish would be achieved soon after, but because of all kinds of twists and turns, I drifted further and further from the research path I had planned for myself back then. Ironically, the sixth wish, the one I thought was the most far-fetched, was the first to come true, and the seventh wish was something I added later. After several revisions, I was now only 20 or 30,000 yuan away from completing it. It was time to get back on track. I sent a WeChat message to Victor, my senior from a university's physics department who now taught at MIT. "Victor, can I talk to you about applying for a PhD at MIT?" Chapter 8. Victor was my senior in the T program by 3 years. He had won gold in competitions, been admitted all the way without exams, swept up every award a university had to offer, and then naturally gone on to do his PhD at MIT. Back then, classmates used to say I was like a female version of Victor. I also thought I would follow the same path, moving forward step by step. In my senior year, I had consulted Victor about applying to MIT, and he had warmly helped me a great deal. We'd video called so many times that I even felt we were heading into something a little ambiguous. But when it was almost time for the results, I withdrew my application. He called me, furious. I heard you went to work at a tutoring agency to make quick money? The golden years for research don't last long, especially for a woman. Once you get married and have kids, your focus will be divided. Jessica, do you even value your own talent? Deep down, I knew he was right. In the field I wanted to pursue, breakthroughs happened every year. If I waited a few years, I might have nothing to do with any of them. I didn't want to make that choice, but I did. After that, we lost contact. 3 years passed in a flash. Victor happened to be back in the country for spring break, so we arranged to meet for a late-night snack. He pulled out a chair, his long legs cramped on the tiny seat of the barbecue place, and said as soon as he sat down, "I've always wanted to apologize, but didn't know how to start. Back then, I didn't know what you were going through. I questioned your choice and even lost my temper. Looking back, I sounded like some grumpy old man." He was dressed in a dark blue hoodie and gray sweatpants, a student look that erased his age. His gaze was sincere. In that moment, I was suddenly reminded of the day we first met in the lab. It felt like the passing years had been nothing but an illusion. I said, "At that time, my family was scammed out of 1.5 million yuan by a telecom fraud. My mom said it was my study abroad fund. I told her I'd have a scholarship, but she didn't believe me. She asked around about currency exchange and ended up being targeted. Back then, my parents were always in a daze, going over the scam again and again. If I had gone to do my PhD with just a scholarship, that hole in our finances would have stayed there forever. Their mental state was too fragile to leave unattended. And for me, knowing that money, my parents' retirement savings, was gone left a hollow in my heart. I did the math. If I used a university's reputation to tutor, charging 1,000 yuan per hour, with the agency taking 400 and me getting 600, that would be 2,400 yuan a day for 4 hours of work. In less than 2 years, I could earn it back. The job was easy, the money came fast, and it wasn't illegal. Starting a PhD 2 years later wouldn't be too late, right? I had never told anyone this. Not even Domingo knew. Victor asked softly, "So, have you taken care of it now?" I grinned and nodded. It had been faster than I imagined. Less than half a year in, I had built a bit of a reputation. The agency raised my hourly rate, and my share increased. After checking the inflation data, I started thinking 1.5 million wasn't enough. Why not save 2 million? Once I hit 2 million, I would quit. A few nights ago, staring at the account balance as it edged closer to 2 million, I felt an unprecedented sense of relief and satisfaction. I finally understood why people online say paying off debt is, after great sex, one of the most effective dopamine triggers. Victor said, "That's impressive, like lying low to bide your time." Letting this out after holding it in for so long was its own kind of relief. It hadn't been all hardship. In that time, I had pursued and won over Domingo, unlocking a whole new life experience. The kind of handsome man I used to only dare admire in photos now lived under the same roof as me. The days I spent stockpiling for my future were, in their own way, full of flavor. Chapter 9. I rented an apartment at lightning speed and dug out my study abroad application from 3 years ago to revise it. Fortunately, I'd kept up with research progress over the years, and last year I'd even taken 2 months to participate in a university research project. My language scores and GRE were still valid. The application essays, however, needed a major rewrite, and I had to reconnect with potential advisors. Victor was helping me with great dedication. During his holiday, he came to my place almost every day to review my materials, or had me bring them over to his place to revise. It felt like I was back in high school preparing for the physics competition. Several of us crowded around a friend's table, each working on our own problems, then discussing them together afterward. We had similar talent, and everyone's mind was undistracted. No worries about money, no concerns outside of physics. This was my comfort zone. During this time, Domingo called me twice. I didn't catch all of what he was saying, just the sharp dissatisfaction in his voice. A rapid-fire string of accusations, doubts, and belittling remarks. When I'm working, I slip into a flow state and my emotions stay muted. I've got a lot on my plate right now. Can we talk in a couple of weeks? Domingo let out a disbelieving laugh and hung up abruptly. Victor asked, "Difficult student's parent?" Ex-boyfriend. Well, technically a student's parent, his cousin is in my class. Victor didn't ask further and went back to helping me prepare for my interview. A while later, Domingo sent me 2 photos. Diandian's not eating well. If you don't come back soon, the dog will die. Victor caught a glimpse and asked, "You dumped him?" "He dumped me." "Well, from where I'm standing, he looks about ready to lose his mind." Chapter 10. I still wasn't at ease, so I told Victor I'd cut things short and go check on the dog. Domingo opened the door. The dog circled my feet. She wasn't listless at all like in the photos. She was lively, strong, practically a high-jump athlete. I scooped Diandian into my arms, ruffling her fur, and said to Domingo, "If you don't want to keep her, I'll take her. Worst case, I'll bring her abroad and rent a place that allows pets." Suddenly, he leaned down and kissed me roughly, devouring me. The dog yelped in surprise and jumped down. What the hell? Break up with after-sales service? I didn't expect an erotic scene today. His nose bumped mine. His bites were fierce, and he irritably removed my glasses. His chest crashed against me. My mind blurred, and as I slid down the wall, he scooped me up like a sack and tossed me onto the sofa. He was unbuttoning his shirt. My reason snapped back. "Did you sleep with your crush?" "I don't do multiple partners." He gave me a long, meaningful look. I sat up warily. "Then no, I'm not okay with that." "No, I didn't." He growled as he pushed me back down. "Good, no risk." It was the angry sex I liked, though I still had no idea what he was mad about. After a breakup, it's all free anyway. Whatever's on his mind is none of my business. By the second half of the night, I drifted in and out of sleep until the daylight streamed in. Sunlight slipped through the blinds, lighting up his chest and abs. I couldn't resist touching them, like something out of a dream. God, I was eating so well. Who would have thought I'd be feasting like this after a breakup? If I posted this on Little Red Book, wouldn't a comment like "let me touch" get tens of thousands of likes from the sisters? Domingo asked, "Do you admit you were wrong?" My mood deflated. He was always like this, using his looks as a weapon, trying to get me to admit to things I hadn't done. Over the past year, because I was lust-driven, I had always bowed my head to him. Last night's roleplay alone had me confessing to more than a dozen imaginary wrongs. But our story was already over. Wasn't he done playing yet? I spoke slowly. "We're just friends with benefits. You don't actually think I'm trying to get back together, do you?" Chapter 11. Domingo was about to explode. She had been the one crazy in love with him, scheming to cling to him, so how had it turned into him looking like the simp? Jessica was too sly. Not long after getting him, she had infiltrated his circle of friends. Everyone spoke of how great she was, as if she were a mandatory fixture in his life. On his birthday, he had planned to spend more time with Cressida. He called a rideshare driver, and he and Cressida sat in the back seat. Cressida was tipsy, cheeks flushed. What was that phrase? Pure yet seductive. She leaned into him in a daze, and he naturally slipped an arm around her. The rose scent at her neck hung in the air. He told the driver to head to a hotel. The passenger side door suddenly opened, and his childhood friend Joel slid in. "Well, what's with you two sitting so close? Planning to share one seatbelt? Move over. Domingo, you have a girlfriend, mind your morals." Domingo wanted to kick him out of the car. Joel opened his map app. "I've got the route planned, drop Cressida off first. Then me. It's the most convenient, sir. Just follow my directions." Cressida sobered up, looking helplessly at Domingo. Domingo got the hint. "Joel, get out and grab your own ride." Joel acted like he couldn't hear. "Cressida, want me to book you a car?" "I've got something to discuss with Domingo." The girl was still shy at heart. When the rideshare stopped at her place, she obediently got out. Joel then changed the route, saying he'd stay at Domingo's for the night. "Domingo, are you insane? Who said you could?" Joel gave him a smug look. "Even if you're going to cheat, you're not doing it right in front of me. My sister's preparing for the physics competition, and Jessica answers all her questions. You're not putting her in cheating territory. Behave yourself. If my sister doesn't get into Peking University, it's all on you." Joel tailed Domingo home, where Jessica's belongings were completely gone. Domingo was momentarily stunned. Did she really need to overreact like this? Joel fanned the flames. Well, she really dumped you? Guess I worried for nothing. I'm heading home. Domingo snorted. She dumped me? She'll be back in a couple of days begging for my forgiveness. Joel asked seriously. You sure? Has she ever mentioned breaking up before? Jessica doesn't seem like the type to use breakups as a bargaining chip. Domingo suddenly wasn't so sure. But so what if they'd broken up? He didn't like her that much. He told himself. He really didn't like Jessica that much. Her looks were average. Her job wasn't glamorous. And she didn't have an exciting personal life. She wasn't like Cressida, one day watching animal migrations in Africa, the next diving in the Maldives, then performing a solo concert at a university. Her social media was always full of stunning pictures, and she had tens of thousands of followers on certain platforms. Back in high school, Cressida had been the most dazzling girl in the school. Being with her made Domingo feel the boost of status from her shine. Only he had the right to post her photos. And every guy envied him. Jessica wasn't that kind of glamorous girl, but she knew exactly how to push a man's buttons. When she needed him, her face would nuzzle his abs. Baby, you're perfect. How lucky am I? She was bold, utterly ignoring the fact that he'd only recently had any sexual experience. And a little teasing from her could almost give him a nosebleed. He'd never told her any of this. He didn't want her getting smug. He didn't understand how a woman so ordinary-looking yet so lustful could provoke such a strong reaction in him. He had thought he'd only ever fall for a woman like Cressida. Worse, Jessica could turn cold in an instant. She was the one in the lower position in the relationship. Yet a casual "I've got a lot going on. Let's talk in 2 weeks" nearly gave him a heart attack. It was as if he were the one dumped, shamelessly begging her to come back. Domingo had it all planned. When she came crawling back to reconcile, he'd treat her well for a few days, then dump her hard. That would reassert the proper power balance between them. And what happened? Jessica enjoyed herself with him a few more times, then had the gall to say they were just friends with benefits. Domingo was furious to the point of breaking. He'd been freeloaded. Chapter 12. Domingo tossed my clothes at me all at once, telling me to get dressed and get out. I glanced uneasily at the dog. Are you sure you can take good care of her? Should I take her with me? He practically shouted. She's my dog. That reassured me. After that brief interlude of leisure and pleasure, my life went back on track. My main application had already been submitted. If it passed the preliminary review, the department would arrange 2 interviews. Victor and I were both in physics, but our research fields were very different. Mine was controlled nuclear fusion. His was astrophysics. He ran me through several mock interviews, covering nearly every possible question. He said, "Any deeper than this and I won't know the details." Before the real interview, you could talk to someone in your exact field about the latest developments. He was leaving for the US in a few days. Almost his entire holiday had been spent on me. On the day we parted, I suddenly found myself tongue-tied, unsure how to fully express the gratitude I felt. He cut me off with a smile. "Junior, you have so much talent. You deserve to be on the best platform. It would be such a waste otherwise. I really want to see you achieve something." He opened his arms and hugged me tightly. See you at MIT. Chapter 13. Fortunately, I had never let go of my field over the past 2 years. I'd kept up with the latest results and stayed in contact with researchers in the area. I'd also been thinking constantly about what I could contribute to it. The interview went smoothly. A few days later, I received the admission letter. The big congratulations popped up in my inbox. My heart pounded, and the world around me seemed to go quiet. I sat there for a few minutes, then took a screenshot and sent it to Victor. He replied quickly. "They decided to admit you 3 years ago. I overheard them chatting in the office back then, saying a very promising applicant had withdrawn. I thought it was such a pity. Now you're back on your original path. Congratulations." I called my parents, sent a WeChat to my best friend, and wrote emails to fellow scholars in the field I knew well. When night fell, I burned paper offerings for my grandparents, who had taught me math and physics since I was little, but, because of their time, never had the chance to fully realize their own potential. It felt so wonderful to see a wish come true. I couldn't wait to share the news with everyone. Victor really understood me. I was finally back on the road I'd started on. Chapter 14. while handling my visa. I also wrapped up my work at the tutoring agency. Domingo's cousin still had 2 prepaid lessons left, and I told him that after those, we wouldn't be renewing. He hesitated before asking, "Ms. Lin, are you okay?" Domingo and Cressida were together now. They were very public about it, such a stark contrast to the low-profile way he dated me. If he had dumped me a year ago, I would have been heartbroken. Now, I was fine. I had no expectations of him anymore, and I'd already enjoyed the good parts. I told his cousin, "I'm fine, don't worry." But within 2 days, Domingo showed up at my workplace in the middle of the day. He rapped his knuckles on the edge of my desk, looking arrogant. Using this kind of tactic to force me to come over, isn't that childish? What tactic? Cutting off my cousin's lessons. It's not cutting off, it's finishing the contract without renewal. All existing classes will still be completed. Oh, so if I dated you again, you'd renew? This has nothing to do with you. It's my personal plan. Still talking tough. He smirked like he had me all figured out. The agency director, thinking I was being hassled by a parent, knocked and came in to explain to him, "Sorry, sir, but Ms. Lin is leaving next month. We have other physics teachers here, and if you like, your child can try a free trial lesson with them." "You're quitting?" Domingo asked. "What are you going to do after?" The director noticed we knew each other and slipped out. I couldn't help laughing. "So concerned about me, ex-boyfriend?" His face went cold again, so I imitated his tone. "Oh, so you'll only renew if you date me again? TSK. He pretended not to care, shrugged, and walked out. Domingo held out until the evening before messaging his cousin. "Did she tell you what she's planning to do?" His cousin. Which she? "Don't tell me you went to the agency to find Ms. Lin?" "I don't mind if she doesn't renew. You messed her around. If she doesn't want to teach me, that's normal. Don't use me as an excuse to bother her. I don't want her thinking I'm the kind of jerk who doesn't communicate directly and send someone to harass her." Chapter 15. After I'd finished all my classes at the agency, I invited Joel's younger sister, Diana, out. The way I met her was almost absurd. Domingo had gone on an outing with friends and brought me along. Joel brought his sister. That day, the girl seemed very aloof, quietly climbing the mountain on her own, saying nothing extra. Halfway up, she wanted to find a restroom, so I went with her. On the way back, I overheard Domingo on the phone with someone. Average looks. Works at a tutoring agency as a teacher. Jealous? If you're jealous, come back to the country. You come back, I'll break up with her. The air around us grew heavy. That was when I was at my most infatuated with him. I knew he wasn't that into me, but hearing him say it aloud was still brutal. Diana must have sensed my hurt. She marched straight over and kicked Domingo from behind, calling him scumbag. Domingo was so shocked he dropped his phone. I was floored. A heroine. She didn't even know my name at the time. That's how we became friends. She told me not to lose my head over a man, and I shared tips on preparing for competitions. She didn't really need my help. She was incredibly gifted, worked hard, and was fiercely focused. People like her could succeed at anything. When she heard I'd broken up, Diana was worried. Every few days, she'd ask me, "Jessica, are you okay?" I'd tell her I was fine, but she never believed me and would ask again a few days later. Since she was in boarding school, she couldn't come see me or directly take revenge on Domingo, but she made a habit of commenting sarcastically under every single one of his social media posts, leaving rows of thumbs down emojis. Domingo replied to her, "You're supposed to be on my side. I even carried you when you were little." Diana replied, "Scumbag." I secretly delighted in it every time I saw it. When I saw Diana this time, she shot toward me like a rocket. "Jessica, are you okay?" She was an introverted academic overachiever, so her attempts to comfort people always came out a little robotic. I opened my email and showed her my admission letter. She gasped, "Wow. MIT, the school Einstein's mom went to." Her eyes sparkled. "Jessica sis, what's your research field? Can I come visit you in the future?" Chapter 16. A few days later, at Domingo's grandmother's birthday banquet, Cressida arrived on his arm. Grandma asked him, "Where's that girlfriend of yours?" Why didn't she come? Diana leaned over. That sister is going to MIT for her PhD. She already broke up with him, Grandma exclaimed. That girl is that capable? Domingo, don't listen to her. Jessica never prepared to go abroad. Diana raised her eyebrows. Just because you didn't know doesn't mean it's not true. She never included you in her future plans. For the rest of the evening, Domingo was distracted. He kept analyzing how much truth there might be in Diana's words. Jessica had never mentioned going abroad. Besides, if you're going abroad, don't you have to prepare for language tests and the GRE? Back in college, his friends who planned to study overseas were always doing practice problems or memorizing vocabulary books. Jessica had never done any of that. She spent her days laughing and chatting, doing a job that was ridiculously easy for her, with no lofty ambitions. Domingo had assumed she'd keep milking middle school parents for money her whole life. But then again, if it was true, it would explain why she saved so much without spending. She made $60,000 to $70,000 a month, didn't buy property or invest, and aside from being horny, had no bad habits. Most girls her age would at least buy a few luxury items, but she only spent $2,000 or $3,000 a month, and even stayed at his place for free, so she'd been saving up for a big move. Domingo thought he had to ask Jessica directly. If what Diana said was true, then hadn't she been using him? He'd provided the god-tier body, free lodging. What did she take him for? Beside him, Cressida punched him in the arm with a sour face. Still thinking about that woman? Domingo snapped out of it. No, I was just wondering if Diana was lying to me. Chapter 17. Domingo called me out to meet. He looked grim, like he was staring at a criminal guilty of heinous crimes. Diana said you're going to MIT. Is it true? Yes. Why didn't you ever tell me? He fired off his questions like bullets. We were together for a year, and you never mentioned it once. Jessica, what do you take me for? He wore the look of someone deeply wronged, as if I were the true scumbag. But he was the one who used me to fill the time until his crush came back. I had been faithful, no cheating, no treating him as a stand-in. I'd only been chasing a better future. He sneered. You really calculated it perfectly, didn't you? Saying you loved me, making every one of my friends think I treated you badly, when you'd already decided you were just using me as a transition. What am I to you? You make all that money and never spend it on me. Am I just your massage toy? Or a disposable condom? He was going too far, so I defended myself. You used me as a transition too. You were waiting for your crush to come back. I was waiting to save enough for grad school abroad. We don't owe each other anything. That got to him. But you freeloaded and lived in my house for free. People in the cafe were turning to look. Someone started recording. I worried he might demand back rent, so I quickly soothed him. Don't belittle yourself like that. I fell for you at first sight. You were important to me. After getting together with him, saving money stopped feeling like a slog. Every day I was in a good mood. Walking down the street with him, feeling the envious stares, it was an endless boost to my vanity. Just then, a sharp female voice cut in. Jessica, don't you have any shame? He has a girlfriend and you're still trying to hook up with him. I frowned. Cressida, did America teach you to talk that nastily? Or were you just born without manners? She just started working at a place that cared about personal conduct. If she wanted a fight, I was happy to oblige. I wouldn't mind if this two women fighting over a man scene went viral. Plenty of details would make her look bad. In academia, especially internationally, this kind of gossip hardly mattered unless it was about your own advisor or student. It was just decorative scandal. I added fuel to the fire. I really do like Domingo. Is liking someone a crime now? If you truly liked him, you wouldn't have broken up with him after high school. Do you know how much he suffered? I was the only one who cared for him. Jessica, you're shameless. Cressida picked up a glass of water to throw at me, but seeing someone recording, she lunged instead to knock the phone out of the onlooker's hand, quickly getting into a shoving match. I plucked the roses from the vase on the table and handed them to Domingo. This is my last time engaging in female rivalry for you. Goodbye. Ex-boyfriend. Chapter 18. The cafe video did get some traction online. Domingo's face was practically born for clicks. Plenty of people were bashing me, but plenty were envious too. This girl is living the dream, dated such a ridiculously handsome guy, then broke up and jumped straight to MIT. I wouldn't even dare to dream like this. Best part is, the hot guy lost his cool over her. I'd bet $100 he still likes her. This guy's looks are objectively insane, those eyes, that nose bridge, that jawline, those broad shoulders and narrow waist. I suddenly get why ancient warlords would go to war over a beauty. Only a man who looks like this is worth fighting over. My friend wants to win back her cheating ex. And I just sigh. I don't get it at all. What's wrong with you people? This MIT girl was hitting on someone else's boyfriend. Why are you suddenly romanticizing the mistress? Wait until your boyfriend gets stolen. Then you'll shut up. My boyfriend isn't worth stealing. I just want to replace my boyfriend with this guy. It wouldn't be long before the semester started. Riding the wave of attention, I opened a video account to document my life as an international student. Packing my luggage, recorded. Airplane food tasting awful, snapped a picture. Touring the campus, filmed an episode. The apartment I rented was bare when I arrived. Only then did I realize that rentals in the US don't come furnished. The bed I ordered online had to be assembled myself. Well, inconvenient. Yes, but also perfect content. I bought a drill and a hammer, set up my phone, and filmed myself fumbling through assembling the bed frame. That video blew up. Turns out people loved watching me struggle. My videos were all shot casually and edited roughly, so they didn't take much time. But once the semester began, my research project kicked into high gear. I was either buried in the lab, building models in the office, or running calculations. Meals were just chances to keep discussing work with my research group. Gradually, my updates slowed, from daily uploads to weekly, then to monthly. Most recently, I didn't even manage the monthly post. One day, I logged in by chance and saw a familiar profile picture in my DMs. Why aren't you updating? It was Domingo. It had been 5 months since we last parted ways in that cafe. Chapter 19. A friend told Domingo that Jessica had started a social media account, so he clicked in to take a look. He watched while silently criticizing her in his head. The most popular video was of her holding a drill, making uneven holes in wooden boards and building a lopsided bed frame. She put the mattress on, sat down, bounced a few times, and muttered to herself, "Hope it doesn't collapse." The comments were full of praise. "She's amazing, so handy." Domingo thought, and that's worth praising? Wait until the bed collapses. Then she'll calm down. The next video showed Jessica buying a croissant at a cafe. When she bit into it, the crisp sound came through the phone's speaker. "Wow," she said, eyes closing in pleasure. Domingo thought, is that really necessary? American food must be that scarce. Yet, on his way home from work, he inexplicably stopped at a bakery and bought 2 croissants. In a video from a few days ago, Jessica's department was holding an event that handed out free burgers. She beamed, holding a paper tray as she lined up, barely able to hide her glee. "Free lunch today. Hee hee." A man behind her laughed and said in Chinese, "Slow down, Junior. Don't choke." Who was this guy? Why was he so familiar with her? Jessica even grabbed ketchup for him. Didn't he have hands of his own? Domingo was displeased. Every day he checked Jessica's page to see if she was working hard. Then she suddenly stopped updating. For more than 20 days. Nothing new. Domingo felt a nameless fire rising in him. She was always like this, starting off with a bang, chasing him with sweet words and showering him with gifts. To reel him in, she'd tell him wild stories from her tutoring job, a boy brawling with his parent in her office, a girl falling for her homeroom teacher and threatening to kill herself if her parents dared transfer her. Domingo wasn't a gossip by nature, but somehow he wanted to know how those stories ended. She planted hooks in his mind, and he'd slowly gotten caught. Once she had him, Jessica wasn't as good to him. She didn't do chores, didn't put effort into gifts, didn't coax him when he was unhappy. She was the type who never finished what she started. All 3-minute enthusiasm, lacking proper character. He wanted to correct her, to make sure other people wouldn't get hurt. The comment section even had clueless people defending her. Maybe she's just been busy, after all. Vlogging isn't her main job. Oh right. I remember she's a physics PhD. Girl, can you talk about your research next time? I want to hear. A few days later, she obliged. The video had no polish, just a chaotic bedroom background with her face filling the frame. Hi everyone. Today I'll talk about my project. My field is controlled nuclear fusion, which is a clean energy technology that mimics the energy source of the sun and other stars. You've all heard of the hydrogen bomb, right? That's a one-time, uncontrolled fusion, but what humanity needs is a sustained, stable release of energy for electricity, heating, and so on. My research aims to make fusion controllable. When she spoke about her field, Jessica's eyes lit up and her whole being seemed to glow. Domingo had never seen her like this. She said she'd been interested in the field since university. She believed in the future of controlled nuclear fusion because it didn't have a chain reaction. If something went wrong, the reaction would naturally stop, avoiding disasters like Chernobyl or Fukushima. They had dated for over a year, and Jessica had never told him any of this. Domingo realized he'd never truly known her. He was irritated at her lack of openness, but that very secrecy made her more intriguing. From tutoring to save money, to studying abroad for a PhD, she had taken every step in ways he hadn't expected. If he weren't the victim, he might actually admire this woman. She was like an onion, only showing him the outermost layer. He wanted to peel her back layer by layer to see what was inside. Domingo suddenly realized he might have a bit of a masochistic streak. Since their breakup, he had thought of her far too often. Chapter 20. After more than a month, Jessica posted another lazy update. She picked a few mint leaves from her balcony, mashed them with lemon slices, and made a simple iced drink. When they were together, Jessica often made this to drink. Domingo had never thought it tasted that great. But today, for some inexplicable reason, he went to the supermarket and bought mint and lemons. When Cressida came home from work, only a little was left in the glass on the table. She stared at it in silence. Want some? I can make you a glass, Domingo offered, but Cressida suddenly snapped, sweeping the glass to the floor with a swing of her arm. You really are a dog who can't stop eating shit, eating from one bowl while eyeing the pot. Feels good. Huh? She's all the way in America and you're still acting pathetic. Her words were unbearably nasty. Domingo forced down his temper and retorted, this has nothing to do with Jessica. I just wanted to drink something with flavor. Cressida's eyes filled with tears. Oh yeah? You gonna tell me buying croissants wasn't about her either? That checking the MIT website wasn't about her? I've looked through your phone, you even messaged her. What now? You've got me but you're still thinking about sleeping with your ex? All men are trash. Her shouting gave Domingo a headache. It dawned on him that Cressida was no longer the girl he remembered. Now she spoke crudely, had no hobbies, no ambition, spending her days suspicious and clinging to him. Unlike Jessica, who, when she spoke about her work, seemed to radiate light from every pore. Even if he minded that she had used him, he couldn't deny that Jessica was doing meaningful work and living an exciting life. He silently blamed Cressida. If she turned so petty and dull, why come back to him at all? She had let the pure, beautiful memory of his first love gather dust. He even started questioning his own taste when he was younger. Chapter 21. I never replied to Domingo's message in my inbox. And he didn't send another. I figured he just thought of me out of boredom. Just like I would occasionally think about that period when he could still stir my emotions. Since starting my PhD, I've met other men, some I dated for a while, some briefly, but few have managed to move me emotionally again. When either of us got busy with work, things would just naturally end, and no one got hurt. At this university, everyone throws themselves into work, and romance is far down the list of life's priorities. Half a year passed like this, until one day, a colleague came into the lab and called out, Jessica, there's a really handsome Chinese guy here to see you. I put down what I was working on and went out. Domingo was standing at the door, handsome to perfection, looking slightly uneasy. Hi, my company sent me on a business trip, and I happened to be passing by, he said. He was wearing a crisp shirt and casual trousers, every feature sharp and bright. People passing by turned their heads. A colleague who knew me stood behind him, mouth hanging open, making exaggerated "Oh, what's your relationship with him?" expressions at me. I had thought Eastern and Western beauty standards for men were different, but Domingo effortlessly bridged that gap. Some people are just born gifted, it's enough to make you jealous. I glanced at my watch and said, I'll be done in 35 minutes. Take a walk nearby, and I'll treat you to lunch. He nodded, strangely obedient. I chose an Indian restaurant. He tore off a piece of naan with his long fingers and looked at me. I didn't know you liked this. There was a place near where we lived before. Their chicken curry was great. But I wasn't in the mood for reminiscing. On the way to the restaurant, my gaze had occasionally drifted to him. His legs were long and straight, his hips high and firm, and the light-colored shirt faintly outlined the curve of his chest muscles. I kind of wanted to touch him. After all, he had come to me. After a few bites of rice, I said tactfully, do you have time for a quick checkup this afternoon? I can book a doctor, results come out the same day. He frowned in confusion, so I explained. His brows drew tighter. I'm not that casual of a person, I replied sincerely. I'm sorry. I misunderstood. I apologize. But when I finished work that afternoon, Domingo was waiting at the building entrance. His face was stormy as he shoved a medical report at me. Here, take it. HIV, hepatitis B, syphilis, HPV, everything negative. I felt relieved, suppressing a smile as I asked, how about we order takeout and watch Netflix? Chapter 22. He followed me home, looking a little humiliated. I poked his chest muscles, then traced over his abs, like petting a cat. Except a sexy man can give you a very different kind of strength. When he reached to grab my hand, I protested. Don't move. You came all this way, let me touch for a bit. He put up with it for less than 5 minutes. And after that, things spun out of control. The loss of control felt like losing gravity. He was brimming with emotions, spilling over, venting his dissatisfaction. In the heat of the moment, he almost seemed like he loved me. He asked if I'd thought about him during the past half year, asked why I never replied to his messages, asked if I felt smug breaking up with him after I'd made it, asked about the men who appeared in flashes in my vlogs, what my relationship with them was. At first, I answered honestly, but later I couldn't take it anymore. When my lies were too obvious, he got upset again. Then I just passed out from exhaustion. When I woke up, I was hungry. Domingo, what do you want to order for takeout? One hand scrolling on my phone, the other drawing circles on his torso. He grumbled, feels like you're treating me like takeout. No need to put it that crudely. He insisted we go out to eat, and chose an extremely expensive restaurant. One of those atmospheric places, tiny steaks, very average flavor, but perfect for a romantic date. After dinner, he paid the bill, picked the rose from the table vase, and headed out. The waiter chased after him, and he tossed his hand back arrogantly. The lady behind me will settle it. I was down $25 for no reason. No idea what he was sulking about. Walking down the midnight street with the flower to his nose, he said with certainty, you don't like me as much as you used to. You didn't even like me that much when we were together. At first, when I got close to other girls, you'd be sad. Later, you couldn't wait to push me away. I would be sad, but that sadness wasn't enough to outweigh my future. I still had to focus on my own work. We were both people with strong control issues, wanting the other to yield, while fiercely guarding our own autonomy. As bed partners, we were a perfect match. Others weren't as forceful, as stimulating, as good at playing the game, but in other ways, we weren't such a good fit. Chapter 23. Domingo and I kept up this kind of relationship. He'd fly to the US every so often. Back home, he held a cushy position at his family's company, with little work. Whenever Diana came to the US to visit, he was there. Diana was incredulous. Sis, seriously? You're eating your own grass? My weakness for handsome men is a flaw I can't control. After a few days together, Diana said, fine, as long as he treats you well. Anyway, you're not as easily hurt by him as before. That night, Domingo pinned me down in the bedroom. Even the kid can tell. All you think about is your research. I'm your fuel, science's expendable material. I turned my head to kiss him. That's not true. He pressed me, wanting to appear in my vlog. Your colleagues have been in it. That senior of yours has been in it. I was kissed into a daze and agreed without thinking. When I woke up, I saw that he'd posted a photo on WeChat Moments, me in front of the lab, devouring a burger. It was from last week's free burger day. I'd taken him along. He'd complained about the taste, but that didn't stop him from eating plenty. His post's comment section was a battlefield, some people saying sex and food are both primal desires. Others digging up the video with Cressida, declaring, "A mistress deserves to die. Let them talk." He'd come all the way to see me, and I was happy to spoil him. Chapter 24. At the age of 30, our team's controlled nuclear fusion project achieved a breakthrough. The results were commercialized, and the cost per kilowatt-hour dropped to just a fraction of fossil energy. Everyone on the team achieved financial freedom. I looked back at the wishes I made for my 20th birthday. 1. Participate in a research project related to controlled nuclear fusion. 2. Pursue a PhD at MIT. 3. Buy my parents a big house in my hometown. 4. Learn to surf. 5. Travel around the world. 6. Date a super handsome guy. 7. Think of more later crossed out 7. Save up 1.5 million crossed out 7. Save up 2 million. Except for surfing. I accomplished all of them. Surfing was too hard. I had already given up. A few years later, I returned to teach at a university in China. At the same time, I founded a charitable fund to sponsor girls from underprivileged areas to attend high school and university. I wanted to help more girls realize their potential and live a life with choices. I had several relationships. And with Domingo, we broke up and got back together multiple times. Netizens all noticed I cared about looks, and most female netizens understood. My mom, seeing that I still wasn't married, advised me, looks aren't that important in a man. What matters is that he's a good person. No, Mom, it's very important. We women need to enjoy something good so we have the energy to work hard. That's how I've always felt. Story 2. When we were getting a divorce, my ex-husband insisted on fighting me for custody of our son. Confidently, he said, "How about we ask him what he thinks?" Our son was holding his phone, and after glancing calmly at me, he asked, "Are you really planning to go through with this?" "Yes." I nodded. "All right then." He lowered his head and continued playing his game. "I'll stay with my mom. Make sure she gets more of the assets. Though, I'm afraid she won't be able to support herself." Chapter 1. My ex-husband pulled our son into the study, worried. I wanted to follow, but the door slammed shut right in my face. From inside, I could hear Eric's irritated voice. "Lucas, I'm asking you again. Do you really want to stay with your mom? Don't say I didn't warn you. Your mom's just a housewife. Do you really think she can take care of you?" My son's nonchalant voice responded. "Dad, honestly, it doesn't really matter who I stay with. The main thing is, Aunt Luna is pregnant with my little brother. If I stay with you, I'm afraid it'll upset her." Even someone as thick-skinned as Eric must have felt a little embarrassed when our son brought up his affair. The voices inside the room grew quieter. I couldn't make out what they said after that, but I felt a wet, itchy sensation crawling up my face. When I reached up to wipe it away, the more I wiped, the more the tears came. I sat motionless on the couch, burying my face in my hands, unable to hold back the sobs. I don't know how much time passed, but eventually, the door to the study opened again. Eric walked over to me, seeing me with my head buried, crying. He seemed to feel a little guilty. He handed me a tissue and said slowly, "Lucas will stay with you." I raised my tear-streaked face. "You can have the car and the house, and I'll give you 500,000 yuan. If you agree, we can settle this tomorrow." I stared at him in a daze. To be honest, I was the one who wanted the divorce. But as for how to actually go through with it, I had no idea. "Don't give her the car," Lucas suddenly spoke up. I snapped out of it, and a bitter smile crept onto my lips. After all, they say blood is thicker than water. In the end, he still sided with his dad. My mom's driving skills aren't great. It'd be a waste if she didn't use it, and a crime if she did. Let's just take the cash instead. Your car's worth at least 700,000 or 800,000 yuan. A house and 1,000,000 yuan in cash. I think that's pretty reasonable. Eric's eyes darkened as he looked at Lucas. Lucas just shrugged. Indifferent. Eric turned his gaze away. "All right. Let's do it that way. Tomorrow at 9. Meet me at the Civil Affairs office. Chapter 2. The door closed. And with it, my heart clenched. With Eric walking away, he might never come back. We had been in love since college. Young love. So sincere and pure. I had thought we would grow old together. But somehow, we ended up here. Mom. Lucas's voice pulled me out of my sadness. I'm hungry. Have you made dinner? I quickly stood up, wiping away my tears. I'll go buy some groceries now. His voice carried a hint of frustration. Mom, you're about to get $1,000,000 yuan. Can't we just eat out for once? I took Lucas downstairs to the barbecue restaurant. He wrapped a piece of pork belly in lettuce and handed it to me. Mom, it's an all-you-can-eat place. You better eat a lot to get your money's worth. Okay. I took the wrap and put it in my mouth. But it tasted like sawdust. I couldn't swallow. I thought about all the things I'd read online about the psychological impact divorce has on children. I carefully chose my words before speaking. Son, even though your dad and I are getting divorced, he's still your father. It's fine if I hate him, but you don't have to. I don't hate him. He flipped the chicken wings on the grill. And you shouldn't hate him either. Hating someone is exhausting. Sitting across from me, through the rising smoke, I could barely see his face. Chapter 3. That morning, as I sat on the edge of the bed, lost in thought, Lucas knocked on my door. Mom, it's time. Let's go. I snapped back to reality. Why did it feel like he was more eager about our divorce than his father? I opened the door and looked at him suspiciously. Why aren't you in school? He gave me a complicated look. Mom, it's July 1st, summer vacation. I had been so out of it for the past month that I completely forgot he was on break. Feeling guilty, I straightened his collar. Sorry about that, son. He tilted his head and smiled. If you really feel bad, how about taking me on a vacation? Let's go to the beach, do some diving, and eat seafood. He flashed a peace sign. All right. I couldn't help but smile back. It felt like some of the darkness in my heart had lifted. Luna arrived with Eric. We weren't even divorced yet, and she was already eager to take her place in our lives. Lucas greeted her cheerfully. Hey, Aunt Luna, you came out in this scorching heat? Careful, you don't want my little brother to melt in this weather. Luna glared at him, clearly upset, and turned to Eric, seeking support. Lucas quickly explained, Dad, I didn't mean anything by it. It's just that it's 40 degrees out. I'm genuinely worried about my brother. Eric looked at Luna with a serious expression and said, Wait in the car. Don't follow us inside. Chapter 4. We submitted the divorce registration application. Now, we had to go through the 1-month cooling-off period. Eric drove over and called out to us. Let me give you a ride home. I was about to refuse when Lucas started forward and opened the car door. Mom, come on, I'm boiling in this heat. I had no choice but to follow him into the car. We sat in the back seat, while Luna occupied the familiar front seat. She tugged on Eric's arm and said in a sugary voice, Honey, where should we go to celebrate later? Lucas leaned forward. Aunt Luna, how about Little Jiangnan? My dad loves the food there. Whenever something good happened, he'd take my mom and me there. From the rearview mirror, I could see Luna's face stretch longer than a donkey's. Although it wasn't the most gracious reaction, I couldn't help but feel a bit pleased. Lucas didn't stop there. Mom, where should we go for our trip? Maybe we shouldn't go to the beach. How about Lijiang instead? People say Lijiang is the land of romance. Who knows? Maybe I'll find you a new stepdad. Eric's face darkened as well. Planning a trip? He glanced at me through the rearview mirror. Yeah, I didn't want to talk to him, so I turned my head to look out the window. It's good to take a break, he said to himself. But Lijiang isn't that interesting. Why not go to the beach, Sonia? I have a friend who owns a hotel there. Lucas leaned forward again. Sounds great. Dad, can we get a discount? With how much we look alike, your friend would recognize me right away. Eric chuckled and reached out to pat Lucas's head. You're my son, of course. It's no problem. The father and son duo were having a great time, seemingly unaware of how angry Luna's face had become, darker than the bottom of a pot. Chapter 5. In the end, Lucas and I went to Sonia. As he put it, It'd be a waste not to take advantage of a good deal. He was full of excitement and prepared a detailed 3-page travel itinerary. Not wanting to be the killjoy mom, I tried my best to keep up with his energy. At 13 or 14, boys are full of energy. During the day, I accompanied him for skydiving, surfing, and diving. At night, we explored the night markets and caught small crabs on the beach. By the end of the day, I felt like my bones were going to fall apart. The moment I hit the bed, I fell asleep, not even having time to feel the sadness of my divorce. When we returned from Sonia, I was hoping to finally get some rest. But Lucas had complaints about my cooking. "Mom, your cooking isn't bad, but it's lacking variety." I shot him a sidelong glance. "You've been eating my cooking for years, and now you're starting to get picky?" He scratched his head and grinned. "It's not that I'm picky, just a bit tired of the same dishes. If you spice things up, I'm sure I'll grow to be 6 feet 2 inches in no time." "Get lost." I patted his face and smiled. "After all these days, I've finally figured it out. This kid has been trying to keep me busy in every possible way, just so I don't have time to feel sad. Maybe my taste in husbands wasn't great, but the child I raised is truly a treasure. What more could I be sad about?" Chapter 6. I decided to look for a job, even though Eric agreed to give me $1,000,000 and promised to send child support on time every month. $1,000,000 doesn't go very far when you start spending it. Just Lucas's annual tutoring fees cost nearly 200,000 yuan, not to mention the daily expenses. If I just sit back and spend money, it won't take long before the money runs out. After being a housewife for over 10 years, I've practically lost all my work skills. I thought I should find something easy and low stress to start with, then switch to something better after I gained some experience. I mentioned my plan to Lucas. After all, if I go to work, I won't have as much time to take care of him. He thought for a moment and said, "If you want to work, of course, I support that. But looking for a job is a lot like looking for a partner, it requires careful planning." Hearing him speak like a little adult made me laugh out loud, and I couldn't resist teasing him. "Have you ever had a partner? How would you know they're the same?" He confidently replied, "Well, think about it. If you settle for just any job at first, and then later you find a better one, would you quit, or stick it out?" I thought about it, and he had a point. If I take just any job, it would be a hassle to take time off and interview for a better one later. Lucas continued with his advice. "There's no need to rush finding a job, but there is something more urgent." "What is it?" I asked him. "Stop my tutoring classes." "No way." I firmly rejected him. "Mom," he groaned, "for subjects a day, I'm your son, not a pack mule for the production team." Chapter 7. After a friendly negotiation, we decided to cancel the Chinese and English tutoring sessions. For now, we kept math and physics. If he makes progress, we'll reconsider the rest. Long live Mom. Lucas was so happy he ran 2 circles around me and even volunteered to finish an English workbook. Our lives were slowly returning to normal. One day, I was placing an order using a link sent by my friend Alice. Lucas came over, looked at it for a while, and suddenly asked me, "Does Aunt Alice make money doing this?" "It's okay," I said absent-mindedly as I completed the payment. He tugged at my hand, his bright eyes looking up at me. "Mom, I think this would be a good fit for you." My heart skipped a beat. Alice had always had an eye for trends, and a few years ago, she became very successful in e-commerce. This time, she had switched to a newly launched social group buying platform. The user base was still small, but the shopping process was convenient, and the promotion channels were flexible. The business seemed promising. The best part was the one-click resale feature, which meant I didn't have to worry about sourcing products, perfect for a beginner like me. "All right, I'll go talk to your Aunt Alice and get some advice." If there's anything I gained from over a decade of being a housewife, it's the skill of shopping. I tend to be picky when I shop. I don't just look at the price. I also care a lot about quality. I often compare several options before making a decision. Because of that, friends always come to me for recommendations when they need to buy something. As Lucas said, running this kind of platform really suits me. With Alice's help, I quickly set up my shop. I'm very strict about the quality of the products I resell. I have to personally test them and ensure they're good before I sell them. So, while I didn't make much money at first, I quickly gained a loyal customer base. Before I knew it, almost a month had passed. Then Eric suddenly came to see me. He said he wanted to withdraw the divorce application. Chapter 8. I was stunned for a long time. Even though I was the one who asked for the divorce, he'd likely had the idea in his mind for a while. Otherwise, why would he have constantly found faults with me and grown so distant? And besides, Luna's belly was getting bigger by the day. She was probably pushing him hard. His sudden change of heart left me caught off guard. Why? I asked. Eric's gaze flickered, and after a long pause, he spoke slowly. I don't want to lose our family. I felt a strange sense of disorientation. In the early years of his business, Eric often traveled for work. Before every trip, he would hug me and kiss our son's little face. Sweetheart, I don't want to leave you both. As soon as I'm done, I'll come straight home. When did it all change? When did he stop wanting to come home? Seeing that I was wavering, he sat down beside me and grabbed my hand. Please, let's stop this, okay? Do you really want our son to grow up without a father? I pulled my hand out of his and looked at him with a hint of sarcasm in my eyes. Eric, you're the one who made the mistake, and now you want to avoid paying the price. How does that make any sense? Chapter 9. When something strange happens, there's usually a reason behind it. I asked a friend to look into Eric's situation. What I found out shocked me. Eric runs a trading company. Basically, they make money by buying and selling goods using their network to take advantage of price differences. 2 weeks ago, Luna was in charge of purchasing a batch of goods, but it turned out to be counterfeit. Their supplier ran off. Meanwhile, their clients refused to accept the goods and demanded full compensation for their losses. I heard that Eric had emptied all his savings just to barely cover that financial hole. Now, forget about $1,000,000, he probably couldn't even scrape together 10,000. His attempt to reconcile with me wasn't just about avoiding paying the million. It was likely he had his eyes on this apartment as well. We live in a school district apartment, and with the current market prices, it's worth at least 5 to 6 million yuan. When we agreed to the divorce terms, I'm not sure what Lucas said to him. Maybe he still felt a tiny shred of guilt toward us, or maybe his business was booming at the time, and he didn't care much about the money. He signed the divorce agreement without hesitation, but now that he's down and out, these assets have become his lifeline. He wants to grab them all for himself, but the mess made by his mistress, and now he wants to take advantage of his ex-wife? It won't be that easy. Chapter 10. The cooling-off period had passed, and we were supposed to finalize the divorce and get our certificates, but Eric had been avoiding me, likely trying to drag things out and prevent the process from moving forward. I was feeling incredibly frustrated when I suddenly received a package. Inside was a USB drive with evidence of Eric's affair. There were videos of him and Luna cuddling as they walked into a hotel, screenshots of their explicit conversations, and even records of money transfers with messages like 520 yuan and 1,314 yuan, numbers symbolizing I love you and forever. I snapped a picture of the evidence and sent it to Eric. If we can't settle this through a divorce agreement, I'll file a lawsuit. A while later, Eric called. Are you really this heartless? We've been together for more than 10 years. Are you really going to throw it all away? It was raining heavily that day. When the call came, I was standing at the crossroads just outside my building. The wind howled from all directions. I spoke softly. Eric, you were the one who threw it away first. He didn't respond. In the end, Eric showed up to finalize the divorce. That day, he came alone. Luna wasn't with him. He looked utterly exhausted. I heard that his company had run out of cash flow and was nearly at a standstill, but suppliers still needed to be paid, and employees' wages couldn't be delayed. He must have been completely overwhelmed during this time. Chapter 11. As we parted ways, he grabbed my arm. Olivia, let's have a meal together. I was about to refuse when he hurriedly added, even if we're separating, we can still be friends, right? Can't we at least share a meal? I knew him too well. Lowering himself like this wasn't because he couldn't let go of the past. He probably had something to say. I nodded. We found a random restaurant near the civil affairs office. After sitting down, he kept spinning the glass in his hand, looking like he had something on his mind but didn't know how to say it. Not wanting to waste time, I decided to speak first. Eric, just say what you need to. He hesitated for a moment before cautiously saying, about the 1 million yuan I promised you. Could I delay it for a while? I swear I won't back out of my promise. It's just that. All right. I cut him off. Olivia! He reached out, trying to take my hand. I calmly pulled it back. I agreed to delay the payment for a year, but with a 10% interest based on market rates. Also, I want to purchase goods from your company at the special distributor rate. Don't worry, I'll pay on time. Alice had been complaining about how hard it was to find good suppliers. Either the prices were too high or the quality wasn't good enough. Lucas, ever the sharp one, overheard and chimed in. Aunt Alice, I know where you can find exactly what you need. It was like the perfect opportunity landed right in front of me. I'd been wondering how to bring this up to Eric, but now he'd opened the door himself. After all, becoming a special distributor for his company required purchasing hundreds of thousands of yuan in goods. Eric seemed surprised by my condition. He was stunned for a moment before forcing a bitter smile and saying, "You're not the same as before. You used to." Eric. I interrupted him again. I knew what he wanted to say. The old me was entirely focused on him and our child. I gave up a good career just to dedicate myself to the family. Only young people get caught up in love. Middle-aged women like me, who've been discarded, only care about weighing the pros and cons. I raised my glass and clinked it against his. Boss Eric, here's to a successful partnership. Chapter 12. With a steady supply of products. I quickly transitioned from reselling to running my own group buying campaigns. On one hand, the profit margins were higher. On the other hand, I could develop my own team of resellers, expanding my sales channels and reach. Since the platform was relatively new, it offered plenty of support and reward programs. I registered a company and hired professional staff for operations, marketing, and customer service. Although life was busy, it was incredibly fulfilling. However, Eric wasn't having such a great time lately. A while ago, the supplier who sold him counterfeit goods was caught. The supplier confessed that Luna knew from the beginning that the goods were fake, but she kept it hidden after receiving a 20% kickback from the supplier. When Eric found out, he was furious and slapped Luna in front of everyone. Unexpectedly, Luna lost her balance, and her stomach hit the edge of the table. This led to a placental abruption. Not only did Luna suffer, but the baby was also stillborn. I heard that Luna's family had been confronting Eric at his company every day, demanding answers. He was so scared that he didn't even dare go to the office. When Alice told me about it, her voice was full of schadenfreude. See, I told you, karma always comes for those who deserve it. I was reviewing this month's financial report and responded calmly. As long as it doesn't affect our business, I'm fine with it. Chapter 13. I thought that, with the love between Eric and me long gone, we could at least maintain a peaceful business relationship. But he seemed to have other ideas. Previously, I was in touch with a client manager from his company. Recently, though, Eric had started contacting me personally, using maintaining client relationships as an excuse. He frequently tried to win my favor. He even sent flowers to my house on Valentine's Day. It was during winter break. Lucas received the flowers and looked at me with a strange expression. "Mom, are you seeing someone?" As I walked through the living room, I pulled the card out from the flowers. The flowers are endless. The moon is eternal, and our hearts beat as one. This was the same phrase Eric had written on the card the first time he ever sent me flowers. But those flowers had already withered, and the clouds had long drifted away. Things had changed. I tossed the flowers and the card into the trash. Lucas stood silently for a while before speaking up. "Mom, does Dad want to get back together with you?" I thought it was time to have a serious talk with him. I took his hand and sat down on the couch. "Son, you might think I'm being selfish, but there's no way your dad and I can go back to how things were." He squeezed my hand and smiled at me. "I'm glad you feel that way. Always remember, you are yourself first, and my mom second. Nothing is more important than your own happiness." I covered my mouth, fighting back tears. Chapter 14. With my son's support, I decided to take the opportunity to have a clear conversation with Eric. I invited him to meet at a restaurant near my house. As I was leaving, Lucas insisted on coming with me, unable to refuse. I brought him along. It was the first time I had initiated contact with Eric since the divorce, and he seemed to have made an effort with his appearance. He was wearing the shirt and shoes I had bought him, holding a bouquet of roses. When we arrived, he eagerly rushed forward. "Olivia, Lucas, you're here." Lucas glanced at him and teased, "Wow, Dad, you don't look too good these days." "When I'm out with Mom, people mistake her for my sister, but if I went out with you, they'd probably think you're my grandpa." Eric awkwardly smiled. "Your mom does look younger and younger." Lucas nodded sagely and said, "That's why self-discipline is so important. If you can't even control yourself, you'll end up regretting it. Right, Dad?" Eric couldn't even force a smile. Lucas ordered a few dishes that we both liked, then sat next to me and pulled out his phone. I gave him a stern look, and he quickly put his phone away. He chuckled. "I'm not playing games. Just checking the messages from my teacher. Only one game. Okay, Mom, you're the best." Seeing the interaction between me and Lucas, Eric's eyes reddened a bit. He wiped away a tear and began piling food onto our plates. "It's been so long since we've all sat down like this for a meal." I put down my chopsticks and sighed. "Eric, we." Chapter 15. Suddenly, a figure rushed toward us. They grabbed the soup and threw it at me. Lucas quickly stepped in front of me, and the scalding hot soup splashed onto his chest and arms. The exposed skin turned red almost immediately. Luna screamed hysterically. "Olivia, can't you have some decency? Do you enjoy seducing other people's men? Does it hurt? Are you burned?" I ignored Luna and didn't care about the stares from the other diners. Panicked, I examined Lucas's body. "Mom, I'm fine." Lucas quickly reassured me. Fortunately, the soup had been sitting for a while, and although his skin was red and swollen, it wasn't serious. I finally breathed a sigh of relief. Eric had already pulled Luna away. "Luna, are you crazy? It's over between us. I've already given your parents compensation. What more do you want?" Luna's face grew even more twisted. "What's the point of compensation? My child is gone, and yet you all get to live happily ever after?" Luna screamed. I was about to turn around to retort when I saw a flash of silver in her hand. Instinctively, I stepped in front of Lucas. A wave of pain surged through me. Through the haze, I vaguely saw Lucas lift his foot and kick Luna away. As my consciousness began to fade, a random thought flickered through my mind. All those years of taekwondo lessons, totally worth the money. Way more valuable than the tutoring. Chapter 16. I don't know how long I slept. In a foggy state, I heard Lucas mumbling beside me. "If your son didn't have these skills, you shouldn't have tried to be a hero. All right? I've got a ton of homework, and now I have to take care of you in the hospital. So, tell me, how are you going to make it up to me? At the very least, you have to let me play on my phone for 3 days straight." The phrase "play on my phone" must have triggered my sensitive nerves. I shot up in bed, hands on my hips, shouting angrily, "Lucas, try it if you dare. Let's see how bold you've gotten." He stood in front of me, grinning like a sly little fox. The nurse walked in with a tray. "Oh, you're awake. Bed 24? You really need to stop overdoing it with dieting. Your blood sugar is ridiculously low." "Huh? What diet? What low blood sugar?" I avoided Lucas's gaze, feeling guilty. He looked at me with an amused smirk. "If your blood sugar hadn't been so low, how could she knock you out with a blunt fork?" I held on to the last shred of my dignity. That was a fit of anger. "Kid, you wouldn't understand." Chapter 17. As the saying goes, a wise person avoids dangerous situations. After what happened, I didn't dare have any further entanglements with Eric. The 1-year period was almost up anyway. I had my lawyer send him a payment reminder letter. I wasn't worried he wouldn't pay, after all. He owed me far more than the 1 million, including unpaid invoices for goods. The money was transferred quickly. I also had my colleague draft a formal notice that we wouldn't be renewing our contract, and we reconciled the accounts and stock. Thanks to our strong reputation and excellent service, and having caught the platform's early growth, my business was thriving. Many suppliers, even manufacturers, were contacting me directly, eager to provide products. Without Eric's supply, my business wasn't affected in the slightest. In fact, losing me as a major client would make his situation even more difficult. He called me countless times, annoyed. I simply blocked him. When he tried to show up at my door, I was already on vacation, spending the last few days of the holiday traveling with my son in Lijiang. Just as I was about to board the plane, I received a call from Luna. Before she could start yelling, I spoke first. Luna, you and I were never competitors. Take a moment to think, how did you end up like this? Who is truly responsible? There was a long silence on the other end of the line. Then, I heard the sound of her hanging up. Their story might go on for a long time, but what does that have to do with me? I only hope they stay together forever, locked in their misery. Chapter 18. The new school term started, and I attended a parent-teacher meeting for Lucas. The teacher announced the results of the previous term's final exams. Lucas's grades were typically average. Out of 1,000 students in his grade, he usually ranked between 300th and 400th. But this time, I was completely surprised. He had made it into the top 200 of his grade, especially in Chinese. The subject where we had stopped his tutoring, he ranked third in his class. The homeroom teacher told me, this child has great potential. If he keeps pushing himself, he'll have no problem getting into the main campus for high school. I was so excited that I shook the teacher's hand repeatedly, thanking her. As I left the school, I still felt like I was floating. Lucas gave me a disdainful look. Mom, can't you calm down? If I make it into the top 100 next time, are you going to faint from joy? I chuckled. Well, it'd be worth it if I did. You see, I don't expect much for myself in this life. I just want you to have a bright future, to live a happy and fulfilled life. He stopped in front of me, disapprovingly shaking his head. Mom, your life is still long ahead of you. I want to make you proud, but I don't want to be your only source of pride. I looked up at him. His face was clear, his posture tall and confident. My little boy had grown up. I couldn't help but feel a sense of relief. Son, your mom is going to start living an amazing life of her own. 2. Extra chapter. Lucas' story. Chapter 1. In my previous life, my parents divorced. To ease my mother's burden, I chose to live with my father. He had a new wife and a new son. I was like an extra, living in someone else's shell, surviving by drawing on whatever little scraps of attention I could get. They didn't mistreat me, but watching them live happily as a family, I felt like an outsider, just a bystander. My father would say, if you don't behave, go back to your mom. Let's see if she can afford to raise you. Aunt Luna would say, I provide for you. So what's the problem with asking you to do a few things? Even my little brother, who had just learned to talk, would say in his baby voice, you're not my brother. You're an outsider. I used to sneak back to see my mom. She worked at a convenience store. Her once straight back had hunched over, and the clarity in her eyes had dimmed. Once, I saw her talking to a stray cat outside her building, calling it by my name. Lucas, you haven't been home in so long. Mommy misses you. Later, while trying to retrieve a kite stuck in a tree for my little brother, I fell. I hit the back of my head, and that was it for me. At my funeral, everyone consoled my father. Eric, be strong. You lost one child, but you still have the little one. Only my mother sat silently in the corner. I wanted to hug her, but I could only pass through her body. She had become so thin that even the wind on the rooftop easily blew her off. As she fell, she said gently, don't be afraid, son. Mommy's coming to be with you. Chapter 2. When I opened my eyes again, I had returned to the year they divorced. My mother was still lost in the illusion of happiness, even though my father was already cold toward her. Even though his excuses were full of holes, she still foolishly told me, son, don't bother your dad. He works so hard to support us. I secretly rolled my eyes. My mom, with her love-struck brain, would definitely be roasted on social media if she posted about her situation. I had been given a second chance at life. I couldn't help her win back my father's heart, but I could help her get back his money. I started collecting evidence of my father's affair. Honestly, it wasn't even difficult. My father was so brazen that he hadn't even bothered to delete any of his indecent chat records. I used the excuse of needing his phone to look up some information and easily got plenty of evidence. Chapter 3. The day had come to decide who would get custody of me. My father was confident, certain that I would choose him. After all, my mother was just a housewife. Without financial security, family affection is like sand, no wind needed. It falls apart with just a few steps. But I just glanced at him and calmly said, I'm going to live with my mom, give her more of the assets, or I'm afraid she won't be able to support me. In the study, my father still tried to threaten me. Your mom said that if you choose her, she'll walk away with nothing. I sighed and opened the video I had downloaded from his chat app, the one of him and Luna having their little fun. Dad, you're about to have your own child. Why not stop fighting with my mom? She only has me. To be honest, I don't completely hate him, but love is stronger. It's enough to keep me from getting trapped in petty revenge. Instead, I can look forward to new beginnings. Chapter 4. My mom is actually a very capable woman. She was just blinded by family and love. In my past life, Aunt Alice invited her several times to start a business together, but she was always too consumed by the pain of the divorce and losing me to agree. This time, I casually brought it up, and she agreed right away. And she did even better than I expected. She became more confident and optimistic with each passing day. I like this version of my mom much more than before. She's no longer just a wife and a mother. She's an independent woman, and she's really doing great.